Hi, Dr. Mark Moshelek here with Natural Health Chiropractic Center. We're going to start a patient education workshop. We do these every Monday night around 6 o'clock. And tonight our topic is autism/vaccines. That's what we'll start with, and then we'll go into some discussion on what we do in the office and how we help patients with autism and helping with detoxifying and things. So to start with, I wanted to go over some information that I had on vaccines, some history involved there. My purpose here is not to blame anybody or decide things for people, but to just educate parents so they can make an informed decision about having kids vaccinated and knowing some of the issues that go along with that. Vaccines are a very political issue right now, especially with the forced vaccinations in certain states. So we want to try to let patients know, let parents know what they can do to help with that. So I'm going to run through some information that you can ask about later and find out about. We have all this information available at the office, so we'll get started with that. One of the first things we have is a handout. This is from a seminar of mine. It goes over a lot of information that patients can get a hold of. We'll have these at the office. I'll kind of get that a little closer so you can look at that. That's one of them. That gives us a lot of information about different places to call, different informational places to find help there. The second one is on the vaccines themselves and what goes on with vaccines. Some of the adjuvants and things that are in there, and some of the schedules. So we'll have these for anyone who wants to come by the office. We'll have these ready for them to take home. A quick explanation of autism. Autism is a problem, of course, with learning, the child's ability to learn. There's a lot of they call the autistic spectral disorder, or a lot of different degrees of that. So we're wanting to find out, well, why is that? What's going on there? We'll have some stats here in a little bit about how that has become a major problem, and we know in the mainstream media there has been research that's disproven the connection between vaccines and autism, and we're not saying there's a one-to-one connection there. We're just looking at something's not going on, something is not working right. Why are kids having all these problems with ADD, ADHD, learning disabilities, autism, all these problems? What's going on? So again, some more information that I'll send along, or I'll show you. This is a great book called Dissolving Illusions. It's written by Susan Humphreys, MD, and it goes into the history of vaccinations, so you can get an idea of what's going on there. Why vaccines are such a big deal right now. What's the political drive behind that? And then what was the history? Why is there a need for vaccines? A really good book to look at. This is another one called A Shot in the Dark. It goes into some more history of vaccines, written by Harris Coulter and Barbara Lowe Fisher. Barbara Lowe Fisher happens to have a child who was damaged by vaccines, and she is the president of, or the chairman of the National Vaccine Information Center.org. If you go to nvic.org, she has lots of information about vaccines and things on that website. Vaccines, are they really safe and effective? Another great book to get a hold of if you want more information. Again, that's a big question. Are they really safe and effective? There's no long-term studies on vaccines, and the effectiveness is always up for discussion. That's why there are so much of a need for the updated vaccines given through time. We're going to go over that schedule here in a little bit. This one, Critical Vaccine Studies, in Miller's Review, Dr. Neil Z. Miller, PhD, goes over some great studies that gives you more information. So lots of good stuff there. This is the GAPS program, or Gut and Psychological Syndrome book, written by Dr. Natasha Campbell McBride, MD. She had also a child who was damaged by vaccines, and she figured out a way to help that a lot by using the gut brain connection. And she has some great recipes in here, great ways to help children get the toxins and things cleaned out in there. So you can look through that. We'll go over some quick statistics here. This is a copy of the vaccine schedule. Back in 62, there were only 3. In 2019, there's over 60, I think, in there. A lot of things going on there. The global market for vaccines is scheduled to be at $54.2 billion in 2020. So there's a definitely political, monetary gain to be had by manufacturers. Just to be aware of that. This is a booklet that I have gotten from one of my courses I've taken with some more injury or more information. The vaccine injuries do occur. Since the first National Vaccine Injury Commission claims were filed in 1988, there's been 5,991 compensations awards for more than $3.6 billion. So the question is, if vaccines are safe, why would a compensation program pay money for a vaccine-associated problem? So that's the question. Again, we're not trying to blame. We're just trying to figure out, what's going on with the children. What can we do to help this growing problem? And it is growing. As we get into a little more information on autism, the first case of autism was documented and defined in 1943. Vaccines for widespread use began in the late 1940s. The number of shots increased each decade. In 1970, 1 in 10,000 children were autistic. In 2007, 1 in 150 children were autistic. In 2011, 1 in 10 children were diagnosed with autism. 2014, 1 in 68 children is diagnosed with autism spectral disorder, 1 in 42 for boys, and 1 in 50 children in the U.S. now fall within the autism spectral disorder diagnosis. So it's a frightening trend that's just going up. Why? Why is this? That's our question for tonight. Now, in my limited capacity as a chiropractor nutrition, I'm not going to be able to take care of all these problems as to setting national policy, but we have a way in our office to help patients who have a problem with toxicity from whatever reason, wherever it came from, and we can help figure that out. We've done nutrition work and chiropractic since my opening in 1982, so we're doing this for 37 years. I'm now help with my son, Dr. Chet Hochschlag, as a chiropractor, and then my son Eddie helps with nutrition and emotional work with the Reiki work. So we have a unique chiropractic office here that can help patients without drugs and surgery, and for us, that's a plus. The chiropractic philosophy is more towards health naturally, so we're always working towards that goal of getting help people healthy naturally. I'll end our discussion on the vaccine autism part with a book that you can get a hold of called Béchamp or Pasteur. And the reason I bring this one up is because this is really what's behind the whole thing. Dr. Béchamp was a scientist who looked at the cellular level, how you could help immunity, how you could bring immunity up, how you could change the cells to work correctly. Pasteur was all about vaccinations. And there's a really good history of the problems he had doing that. Pasteur was a very good marketer and was able to sell his product. Béchamp was a scientist who liked to just stay at work till late hours, didn't know anything about marketing, about getting out. So the person who won out was Pasteur. So all we know about now is looking at vaccinations, looking at treatment, looking at what do we do to a person who already has the problem, where we should be looking more at the other side of the coin. And that's Dr. Béchamp's work on the cells, on the milieu, the tissues of the body, building immunity, those kind of things. So this is a really good book. It's a little dry because it's a lot of history in science, but it's still a very good book to read if you really want to know what's going on back in those days. Good. Our problem then becomes, what do we do for this? How can we help patients with this? And in our office, we do a lot of work with the nervous system, with nutrition and emotions, to help get the body healthy. Now I'll go into my patient education workshop information that explains more about what we do in the office to help handle this autism and other toxic problems that people have, not only children, but adults, anyone. So the first little handout we go through is our myths versus truth, or myths and truths about nutrition handout. If you come to one of our patient education workshops, you'll get the whole packet of these. These are really good handouts to look through. And we give a quick example here of one myth that, for instance, vegetarianism is healthy. Now, the truth of it is the annual all-cause death rate of vegetarian men is slightly more than that of non-vegetarian men, and the all-cause death rate of vegetarian women is significantly more than that of non-vegetarian women. And so the reason for that is, again, we're looking at the stats, not the emotions. Some people do diets because of emotional things. They want to do this, they want to do that, and everybody wants to be right. But the statistics here show that that's a problem. Now, if we have patients come in that are on the standard American diet, the SAD diet, you know, Pepsi and fast food and all that kind of stuff, yes, we help them become more vegetarian, help them to eat vegetables, help to clean their body out. The thing is, long term, it's very hard to get all the proteins and fats your body needs to be truly healthy being vegetarian. Now, it's possible, you can do it, but it's very hard. So we try to work in other forms of nutrition, and then really I think that vegetarian, or the vegetables, are more a detox diet. Vegetarianism is more a detox diet. The people that are on the statistics here are looking at the problems because you're not getting enough fatty acids to help hormones balance. And that's why the men dying are a little faster, but women die faster. They're not getting their hormones built correctly. They're not getting enough proteins and fats. So that's really important. The other myth is that to avoid heart disease, we should use margarine instead of butter. And of course, the opposite is true, where margarine eaters have twice the rate of heart disease as butter eaters. And that's because margarine is a non-food. It was never meant to be used as a food. It was only part of the cholesterol scare. That is another big problem, a lot of logistics. So butter is actually a true healthy fat. Margarine is just a few chemical steps away from plastic. It never was meant to be put in the body. So you get an idea there of the problem with the myths and the truths in nutrition. The next one, our little handout, that is called Our Health, What Exactly is the Problem? So this is a really good handout. I like to read the first couple paragraphs here. We have drifted in this deplorable position of national malnutrition quite inadvertently. It is a result of scientific research with the objective of finding the best ways to create foods that are non-perishable, that can be made by mass production methods in central factories and distributed so cheap that they can sweep all local competition from the market. Then, after it develops a suspicion that these foods, quote unquote, are inadequate to support life, modern advertising steps in to propagandize the people into believing that there's nothing wrong with them, that the other products is scientific research intended to produce a food that is less worthy to the value, and the confused public is totally unable to arrive at any conclusion of fact and continues to blindly buy the rubbish that is killing them off years ahead of their time. This is written by Dr. Royal Lee. Dr. Royal Lee was an inventor and he became a dentist, written about actually 90 years ago now. So this was way before some of the modern fast food places we have, McDonald's, Dunkin' Donuts, Baskin Robbins, all these problems, all these places out there that are selling foods that people like. So Dr. Lee also was the inventor of Standard Processed Nutrition, the whole food supplement company that we use in our office. And again, we're just using food to help heal the body. It's really not rocket science, but the way we do it is very unique and really helps a patient to be able to utilize their nutrition very efficiently. We have a sugar quiz that I have patients fill out when patients come in, but also people that come to the patient education workshops fill in. It's kind of a fun little thing, but it really goes into get people to realize how much sugar they're getting into too. So another problem that we're finding with the kids is that the obesity rates is high, getting higher and higher in younger and younger children. And again, why? And a lot of that has to do with sugar. Sugar is very hard on the immune system. Could be another reason for the autism problems. So we have a handout here on 146 reasons why sugar is ruining your health. So some good things there. So on our little high-tech presentation board here, we're looking at a triangle, which is kind of a microcosm of the human body. And so we're looking at the top of the pyramid, looking at the triangle being any type of degenerative disease. This means about any type of disease out there. So for instance, a heart condition is a degenerative disease of the coronary system or cardiovascular system. So you get the idea that most of the diseases out there, diabetes, a problem, degenerative disease of the sugar handling system. So all these diseases out there are really a degenerative type disease. And that can come from a nutritional deficiency, which causes an organ dysfunction, which causes more disease and becomes a big negative spiral. And our goal is to always work away from that and get people better. And of course, we do that in the nutritional deficiency corner. So if I take this board off and put this board on, it works the same way. And we're talking really here about more processed sugars. There's natural food sugars. We're looking at more processed sugars here. And processed sugar is a problem. The body can burn sugar as a fuel. It works better on ketones with fats, but it can burn sugar as a fuel. It's just that there's no nutritional value to it. So people love the taste of sugar. It gives them energy. It's actually a drug. It's more addictive than cocaine. It's really something that, again, as a processed thing, it was never really meant to be in the body. But people love it and eat lots of it. And so it causes a problem of nutritional deficiency, organ dysfunction. The body wants more of it because it's after the energy. So our goal, again, is to reverse this and turn it around the other way. A couple other handouts to discuss. Sugar's many disguises. We have this handout which looks at the 60 plus, 65 plus different names for sugar that you'll find in the grocery stores. If you look at the labels on the sides of the packages, especially any processed foods, they've done a very good job of disguising sugar in there, and some products will actually have 4 or 5 names. So for instance, agave nectar, that sounds like something from the gods. It's so nutritional. It's just still sugar. Anything taken out of the food context is still a sugar. The 3 tastes, the body has a taste for sugar, salt, and fats. So the manufacturers use that against us. Now, the body's need for sugar and salt and fats comes from those times in famine. Well, that's the foods we need to survive. So the body, again, can run on sugar. It needs the essential fats and essential proteins that it can't make itself. And it needs salt. Salt is a very important substance the body needs to be healthy. So it's really important that we get those. But the manufacturers know how to use that against us. So if they want to produce a low-fat food, they have to add more sugar and salt. If they want something that's low sugar, they have to add more fat. It's just a way to make people buy things and eat things more and more. There's also a really good video called Is Sugar Toxic on YouTube. Just put in Is Sugar Toxic on the search engine. You'll get this really good video. It's a 60 minutes article. It's a little older, but a lot of good information there. Dr. Robert Lustig, the guy the MD that's interviewed on this video, has a really great YouTube channel too that has a lot more information about sugar if you're interested. We have our testimonials from patients on what we're doing here. So there's a good list of that to look at. So going to our next little board, which is looking at the way that we can help patients figure out their nutritional needs and what they need to be healthy, how they can be healthy. And that's through a testing technique called nutrition response testing. So what is nutrition response testing? Well, I'll read this right off of the president of UNS, his own writing today. I just got this today as an email. Nutrition response testing is a non-invasive system of analyzing the body in order to determine the underlying causes of ill health. When these underlying causes are corrected through safe, natural nutritional means, the body can repair itself in order to attain and maintain more optimum health. And so that's a really good goal for us all to have, rather than looking and just eating the stuff that's out there that we come across every day and just waiting for some type of disease that we can go to the MD or the hospital or whatever and say, hey, I've got this problem, now what do I do? Is it cancer? Is it heart? What is it? Why don't we work on preventing all these problems and not having to increase our health insurance and on, the whole political, socio-economic problems that we have with that deal. So nutrition response testing is a way for us to figure out what that patient's need. So I'm going to just show you how this works. Now, we've been in the office here again 37 years. We've done all kind of testing. We've done blood testing. We've done urine analysis. We've done hair analysis, done salivary testing. Those tests are great for certain problems, but don't really give us very good information on health, on what the body needs to be healthy, what nutrition it needs. So using the nutrition response testing technique, we can figure that out. So I'm going to have my son, Dr. Chip, come over and show you how this works. Nutrition response testing uses an arm strength test to determine what problems a patient has. And muscle testing is very easy to work with. Something we can do every time a patient comes in. It doesn't cost a lot as compared to blood tests, hair analysis. All those things cost hundreds and thousands of dollars. We can do the muscle testing very easily, and it works on the order of hypothermia. So the idea there, hypothermia, if you're going to go out and go ice skating, fall into the lake, get back out, well, you don't want to freeze to death. So the body, as you try to get back, the body will sacrifice the fingers and toes, the appendages, to keep the core alive. The idea is to keep the heart, the brain, all the organs alive, and it will sacrifice the appendages. We just use that principle to get this to work. So when we do our testing, we're checking the arm strength, and normally it's nice and strong, so we have a strong arm. If there's an organ in the body that's got a weakness, then if we stimulate that or irritate it actually, the body will pull the energy out of the arm, sacrifice the appendage to keep that organ from being a problem. So if I push on the heart, if I irritate the heart area and the arm goes unlocked, well then that will tell us that there's a problem there. Not particularly a disease, but a weakness that we can help nutritionally and just feed it with food. So the idea there is then we have our nutritional foods that we have. This one called Cardio Plus, which is for the heart. If I put that on the body, it uses the energy of that food interacting with the body's energy, like a battery, sort of, and put that on the body and test the heart, the arm will go strong, and that tells us that that nutrition will help that problem. It's really a very simple way of figuring things out. And we know then exactly what nutrition that you have that patient for that problem. Good job, thank you very much. Good. So that way we can design a clinical nutrition approach for that, just for that patient. So rather than a multiple vitamin or just shotgunning the thing or taking a whole bunch of stuff that you've seen on the radio or on TV or heard on the radio, we actually design exactly what that patient's needs are in the order it needs it. So for instance, if a patient comes in there very toxic, that means all the metabolic machinery is all gummed up. You can take all the good nutrition in the world, it's not going to work very well. You got to detox the body first. Then you have to work on digestion, getting digestion to work. Because the body can't digest food, again, it's not going to digest nutrition either. Then you have to work on rebuilding the body. Then you have to work on the macronutrients, the diet. We do all that when we do our nutrition response testing technique and go through our design clinical nutrition approach. We're getting a very good read on how the body works and what it needs to be healthy. So in our handout pack, we have another handout on that. So we'll send that along if you come in for that information. We have some other handouts on some blood work. So this is an interesting one here that's redacted, where it talks about the vitamin D content was 29.7, and it came up to 33.0. This was without adding vitamin D. This is just straightening out the diet and getting the person to eat well. The A1C was an 8.0. Now it's a 5.7. So coming up, but still not perfect, but we want to get there. But again, that's without just not adding things, just getting the body to be healthy, working on the diet, working on just nutrition there. So we have other things for that. When you come to the patient education workshop, we have a public education workshop screening form that we have patients fill out, and since you spend your time with us, we give you the chance to come in to get a nutritional evaluation for free. The way we're going to work it on our live video tonight is if you come in the office and say the word Clover, C-L-O-V-E-R, then you can still do this free analysis. We'll do that for you free. And how that works in our office, if you do the analysis, we'll fill out a report of findings. You can come back for the report of findings. If you want to do the program, after you go through the report of findings, that's great. And if not, that's fine too. But at least let you know how we can help, what kind of things we can do to prevent these problems or help patients with people that already have lots of problems. We have all kinds of different disease processes that come in here. Heart problems, diabetes issues, cancers, all kinds of things. And we're just helping the body to be healthy. We're not treating a particular problem or disease. We're just helping the body to be healthy, again, through the way we do things with nutrition, chiropractic, emotional things, whatever it takes to get that body well. There's some books, more books to have if you like. Websites, we have a website list here, more information there to get a hold of. We have some videos. They're on YouTube. There's a list of those for more information to look at. This is our the new childhood in America. Again, getting back to this, autism rate has gone up. The ADHD problems have gone up. Seizures. 120 has seizures. Food allergies. We find a lot of people with food allergies. ADD, ADHD. Again, that's just something that's all these statistics keep going up. Why is that? That's the question you have to ask. Again, being a chiropractic office, we look at the spine, look at the mechanical problems people have, and how that can affect different organs, and what nutrition we can use to help that organ. We work that out. And there are diet recommendations. So my basic recommendations for diet is I try to get people to work with proteins in the morning, salads for lunch, and protein and vegetable for evening. That's the basic diet. You're just getting people off a lot of the refined carbs. And that's easier said than done, but it's something we can do that we've done for thousands of patients. So I'll go into our last board here and kind of finish up for the night. When patients come into the office, they usually have a list of complaints that we go over, and that's important that we know the people's problems, but that's like the red light on the dashboard of the car blinking, going, something's on here, check engine, what's going on? So we're looking at the overall health of the person, and as we go through and do our checks and things, we can figure out and get to an optimum the organs that are working in the body and get them healthy. Most of the problems they have, the symptoms, just go away, because that's the red light. So we get rid of the underlying causes, get them to start eating correctly and not hurting themselves 3 times a day or more. They'll just get healthier, and again, the problems go away. Even weight is an issue that we've found that if we get people healthy, weight just comes off by itself. There are hard cases and everything, but we know how to figure that out too. And of course, what we're doing here, there's no drugs. We're just using nutrition, just using whole food nutrition to help heal the body. It's real simple. It's very safe. It's natural. I mean, you can give this to babies. We have it. A lot of our products, or some of our products, come in liquid form. We can use for children, and then even for older adults, anybody, any age, we can help with that. But it's just a safe, natural way of getting the body healthy, getting away from all the drugs. And we try to help patients, if they're on a lot of medications, with their doctor's help, to get off the medications. Again, there's a lot of side effects with those. And a good place to go look is, the best place that I found is www.drugs.com. You can look up your medications there, so all the side effects that go on. You may not have them all, but you're more likely to have some of them. So it's important, and again, to realize that those medications do not help the underlying problem. They only work on the symptom. It's symptom suppression, not helping the body to be healthy. So very important there. I think that's all I've got for tonight. Again, if you want to come into the office, use that word Clover, C-L-O-V-E-R, kind of our little password, and we'll get you in for a free consultation. And make sure, and if anything on the bottom there, hit like, We appreciate the likes. Follow us on Facebook, all those fun things. We plan on doing this every Monday night as far as the patient education workshops, and we're going to start doing more explanatory videos, just kind of getting people a real good, simple explanation of what we do here and how health works. So I think that's all. Anything else I need to go over? I think we're good, and we're signing off. Thanks a lot.